Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Ananda Guri Vaishnava ki Jai Sant Goswami Prabhu ki Namacharya Jasila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Sikho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhana ki Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Dham ki Bolo Sri Sri Krishna Baldao ki Jai Go Premanand. All glories to thee, Son. All glories to thee, Son. All glories to thee, Son. All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Krishna, and verse number 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yan Martya Lilapaikam Swayoga Maya Balam Darshayata Vihitam Vismaparam Swasya Cha Sobhagyade Param Bhushanangam Yanmartyaloka Lilapaikam Sayoga Maya Balam Darsayata Grihitam Vismapanam Swasya Cha Sobhagyade Param Bhushana Bhushanangam Yanmartyaloka Lilapaikam Sayoga Maya Balam Darshayati Grihitam Vismapanam Swasya Cha Sobhagyade Param Bhushana Bhushanangam Yamartyaloka Yamartyalilo Paikam Sayoga Maya Balam Darshayata Grihitam Vismapanam Swasya Cha Sobhagyade Param Bhushana Bhushanangam Yamartyalilo Paikam Sayoga Yet his eternal form, which Marja, mortal world, Lila Upayakam, just suitable for his pastime. Svayogamaya Balam, potency of the internal energy. Darshayata, for manifestation. Grihitam, discovers. Vismapanam, wonderful. Swasya, of his own. Cha, and. Subhagarde, of the opulent. Param, supreme. Param, ultimate stand. Bhushana, ornament. Bhushanangam, of the ornaments. Nice word, huh? Bhushanangam, the ornament of all ornaments. Translation: the Lord appeared in this material world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself, in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus his, Sri Krishna's transcendental body, is the ornament of all ornaments. Translation, please repeat. The Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself, in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus his, Sri Krishna's, transcendental body is the ornament of all ornaments. Purport. In conformity with the Vedic hymns, Nitya Nityanam, Chaitana Chaitananam, the personality of Godhead is more excellent than all other living beings within all the universes in the material world. He is the chief of all living entities. No one can surpass him or be equal to him in wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, or renunciation. When Lord Krishna was within this universe, he seemed to be a human being because he appeared in a manner just suitable for his pastimes in the mortal world. He did not appear in human society in his Vaikuntha feature with 4 hands because that would not be suitable. That would have been not suitable for his pastimes. But in spite of his appearing as a human being, no one was or is equal to him in any respect, in any way, in any of the 6 opulences. Everyone is more or less proud of his opulence in this world. But when Lord Krishna was in human society, he excelled all his contemporaries within the universe. When the Lord's pastimes are visible into the human eye, they are called prakat. And when they are not visible, they are called aprakat. In fact, the Lord's pastimes never stop, just as the sun never leaves the sky. The sun is always in its right orbit in the sky, but it is sometimes visible and sometimes invisible to our limited senses. Similarly, the pastimes of the Lord are always current in one universe or another. And when Lord Krishna disappeared from the transcendental abode of Dwarka, it was simply a disappearance from the eyes of the people there. It should not be misunderstood that his transcendental body, which is just suitable for the pastimes in the mortal world, is in any way inferior to his different expansions in the Vaikuntha lokas. His body manifested in the material world is transcendental par excellence, in the sense that his pastimes in the mortal world excel his mercy displayed in the Vaikunthas. In the Vaikuntha lokas, the Lord is merciful toward the liberated souls, or nitya siddhas, living entities. But in his pastimes in the mortal world, he is merciful even to the fallen souls who are nitya baddhas, or conditioned forever. The 6 excellent opulences which he displayed in the mortal world by the agency of his internal potency, Yoga Maya, are rare even in the Vaikuntha lokas. All his pastimes are manifested not by the material energy, but by his spiritual energy. The excellence of his Rasa Lila at Vrindavan and his householder life with 16,000 wives is wonderful even for Narayan in Vaikuntha, and is certainly so for other living entities within this material world. His pastimes are wonderful even for the incarnations of the other incarnations of the Lord, such as Sri Ram, Nrsimha, and Varaha. His opulence was so super excellent that his pastimes were adored even by the Lord of Vaikuntha, who is not different from Lord Krishna himself. Yanmarta Lila Paikam Swayoga Maya Balam Darsayata Grita Vismapanam Swasya Chaso Bagarde Param Param Bhushana Bhushanangam. The Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yoga Maya. He came in his internal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus, Sri Krishna's transcendental body is ornament of all ornaments. Om Jnana Timirandasya Yalandana Salakaya Chaksurutam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manavalistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Damayam Svapadantikam Adadana Sridandantai Yudam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padam Bhujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatribhyascha Kipasundurubhayavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Bhushana Bhushanangam. This is a very beautiful word. The Lord's body is the ornament of all ornaments. Just like we were discussing the other day, that Radharani doesn't become beautified by her ornaments, but her ornaments become beautified by being in her person. So the Lord is the most opulent, but his opulence in Braj is covered with Madhurya, special type of sweetness. In Dwarka, of course, he's a big king. He has 16,000 wives, even 16,000 palaces. But his pastimes in Braj, they're more opulent, but they're covered with sweetness. And here it explains that even the Lord himself is attracted. In his form as Lord of Vaikuntha, just like, one time, there was one fellow, somehow every time his sons were dying, and so he went to Arjuna and complained, and Arjuna promised that somehow he would keep the next son from dying, but he still died. But then he had promised that he would die if that Brahman's son died. So then somehow Krishna took him all the way through the universe to Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu said, I was so enchanted by your form, this two-armed form, that I wanted to see you. Even the Vaikuntha was attracted by Krishna's form. So here Prabhupada quotes this nice verse, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam. Nitya is singular. That means there's one Nitya, there's one eternal. Nitya Nityanam. Nityanam is plural. Amongst all the eternals, there's one supreme eternal. Nitya Nityanam. Chaitanas, amongst the living beings, Chaitananam, the living beings, Chaitana, there's one who's the supreme. And this is confirmed, this whole purport reminds me of first verse of Brahma Samhita. Isara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karna Karanam. So Isvara Parama Krishna. Of all the controllers, there's many controllers, Krishna is the supreme. This is the opinion of Brahma. Just like I was sitting in Prabhupada's garden in Los Angeles one time. And sometimes he would have us read Krishna book. And it was so sweet. We were reading about Krishna and Balaram becoming upset that the butter was out of reach, so they went to the kitchen and passed stool and urine. And Prabhupada just smiled, such a sweet smile. He said, this is Krishna. So anyway, one time, there was one, in the very beginning of my Krishna consciousness, there was one fellow, we won't mention his name, but he was claiming that he was the young incarnation of God. And he was the latest incarnation of God. And Prabhu said, who has said that he's God? We accept the big guns. Brahma, he says Krishna is God. We accept the big guns. We're just the little shots, so we accept the big guns. So who has told? Brahma, Shiva, even all the acharyas, they have told that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's got the hundreds of temples. And who has said this little rascal is God? Just some ignorant people. So actually, Prabhu was very shocking. He said, you should kick on his face. And finally, some regular person went there because, he's God, so then he thought, let him stop me from hurting him. So he took a hammer and hit this so-called incarnation of God on the head. He got a concussion. And Prabhu's comment was, why our men did not do this? So Brahma's talking here, and he says, Ishvara, there's so many Ishvaras. Just like even in our family, I may be the father, so I'm the Ishvara of my little family, or I may be the mayor, so I'm the Ishvara of my city, or I may be the chief minister, whatever you call who's ever in charge of the... You have states in New Zealand? I guess it's too small. But in America we have 50 different states, and in India I can't remember. How many states are there? He doesn't know. But in each state there's a chief minister. In America we call it governor. Anyway, he's in charge of his whole state. And then there's a president. He's the Ishvara of his whole country. So many Ishvaras are there. And Lord Brahma, he may also be considered Ishvara. He creates this whole universe. But Narad Muni's very clever, Narad Muni. He wasn't fooled by, even though Lord Brahma does wonderful things just by chanting a mantra, whole planetary, 14 planetary systems are there. And he creates it just by, he's so powerful. But Narad Muni said, I have seen that you are meditating on somebody else. You are very powerful. Just like these bogi yogis come and they do some yogic tricks and they make some ash come from their hand. Or we have one wonderful God sister, she's no longer in this world. She, there was one other bogi yogi, somehow he gave her a bracelet or something, and she looked at it, had her initials on the back. And so, for the common people, these may be very wonderful things. But Narad Muni, he said, but Pitaji, I have seen you're meditating on someone else. So who are you meditating on? And Krishna said, unless and until one knows the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's the ultimate truth beyond me, then one is sure to be bewildered by seeing my powerful activities. So the Brahma says that he's controlling the whole universe. And I can't remember now, everything's becoming a blur. Was it Christchurch or here? We were talking about, I guess that was Christchurch. We were talking about how Brahma came to Dwarka and he told the doorman, tell Krishna that Brahma's here to see him. And Krishna sent the word back, which Brahma? Which Brahma? The one with 4 heads who created this universe. So then he invited him in, and then he's, whatever the discussion he wanted to have, he had with Krishna. He said, but I'm bewildered. why did you say which Brahma? Is there some other Brahma? And then Krishna called, and all the Brahmas of all the different universes came. Some had 10 heads, some had 100 heads, some had 1,000 heads, some had 10,000 heads, some had 100,000 heads, some 1,000,000 heads, now 1 koti, 10 million heads, like this. And Brahma just felt like a little mosquito. And the amazing thing about this pastime is, although Lord Brahma, he saw all these different Brahmas, each one thought that Krishna was in his own universe, and he wasn't able to see all the other Brahmas. So our dear departed godbrother, Sadhubhuti, he says, this shows that what is our power of observation? It's under Krishna. Brahma, he was able to see all these other Brahmas, but each one thought that he was alone, and that Krishna was in his universe, and he had come to see him. So, he said, this means that the senses of the living beings are under the control of the Lord. So we can, just like we can't, so Sadhubhuti said, we can't understand some of the fifth canto, but that's because it's beyond our, there are higher regions of, perception, and it's all controlled by Krishna. So now the scientists are very happy. They sent this John Webb mirror out its telescope out into space, and they're seeing, oh, now our theories were all wrong. We can saw this like this. They're sending back all these far out pictures, but God, who knows what they're seeing? We know this whole material world is an illusion, and we've seen even a simple karmi guy, he can create so many illusions. Just like sometimes we go to the amusement park, and we come inside and there's a mirror, we look in the mirror and we see we become very short. And we look at another mirror, we become skinny and tall, like our Julian. Where is he? We look at another mirror and there's two of us, like this. Even a simple karmi amusement park, while I can create so many illusions. So Krishna not only knows what the scientists are seeing with their telescopes, and there's so many things, because Krishna is a controller. So Isvara Parama Krishna. There may be many controllers, but the supreme controller is Krishna. And Lord Brahma uses this word, Krishna. Isvara Parama Krishna. Satchidananda Vigraha. And his body is not an ordinary body, Satchidananda Vigraha. First of all, it's Sat, it's eternal. Just like we see our body is Asat. Now, we used to, when I see you dancing around, I'm so envious, I used to take my chadar and spin around. What did I forgot. Senior moment. That's another proof. So this body is asat. We can see almost every week, some other god brother or god sister is leaving us. So this body is asat. And Krishna's body is sat, it's eternal. We shouldn't think Krishna's body is ordinary. Prabhu said the whole purport explaining Krishna's body is not ordinary. Satchit, chit means full of knowledge. So we've been discussing these last couple of days the different schools we went to, because we have to go to school to learn anything. We don't know anything. Even it takes a human child about 6-8 months to learn that he can't fall off the floor. And one thing we can learn from children, one lesson we can learn. Somebody was talking, we experience so many troubles in our devotional service, but we see walking is natural. We're all walking around. We don't even think about it anymore. We don't think about putting one foot in front of the other, and that one's steady, okay, now you put the other. We don't even think about it. We just walk. It's natural. It's a natural condition of the particular body we have. So, our natural condition is eternal and full of knowledge. It's our natural condition. So just like that, but the child, he has to learn how to walk. And in the beginning, he falls and hits his head on the coffee table. My mother used to, in America, we call it he got a big egg on his head. He falls on the floor and gets a bloody nose. Does he give up? He doesn't give up. He's convinced because walking is natural. Krishna consciousness is natural for the soul. We try in so many ways, and sometimes we fall. We hit our nose, sometimes we hit our head. But we just pick ourselves up and keep going. We can take this inspiration with the child. They just keep on going, no matter what happens to them. They just pick themselves up and they keep on trying and trying. And one day they're running here and there and driving the mother crazy. So Krishna consciousness is natural, but we can take this inspiration from the child. They just keep practicing and practicing until they get it. So, Sat-Chit, our body is Achit, full of ignorance. And Krishna is Sat-Chit Anand. Maharaj has been discussing about Anand. So, bliss. And this body is Niranand. And you won't get the full realization till it becomes old as us. We preached about birth, death, disease, and old age our whole life, and now we're getting the sakshat darshan of old age. I tell you, it's no fun. I can't dance and spin. I used to, just like we saw our Julian, he was touching the ceiling, I can't do that anymore. So it's Niranand, full of miseries. And the older you get, you realize, up to about 50, everything's going on nicely. After 50, everything starts to break down. I don't want to spoil it for you, but... Even Prabhupada says up till about 50, one who's young, he thinks, oh, life is going to go on like this forever. But after you start crossing 50, things start to break down. And so many problems are there. So our body is Niranand, full of miseries. But Krishna is Satchidananda. And Brahma uses the word Vigraha. Vigraha means form. Just like the Maya bodies, they think God has no form. If you give him a form, then you're limiting him. But our argument is if God has no form, then he's limited. I've got a form, just like every Mayavadi. You read their book, on the back they have their big picture, they're sitting there with this, these seedy eyes and big, phony smile. And they're very proud to show their form, and they're saying God has no form. So we have something more than God, then we're more than God. So if you say that God is so powerful, he can be formless and have a form at the same time. That's the thing that really bugged my friend Sunshine. We were totally impersonalists, And I joined right away, and he kept coming back to see me, and you were the only sane person I ever met in the material world. I couldn't understand how you became a devotee. So he kept coming. And finally, when devotee explained it, it's not that Prabhupada denies the impersonal feature, but the personal feature is higher. And he began to see that the way things were happening in his life, there was some sense of humor behind it. So there must be some personal behind it. So he came back and became a devotee. He was initiated as Srivas. And he was one of the first devotees because he knew Spanish, so he went with I can't remember who it was, that he went to South America to preach in Spanish, opened up South America. But we were convinced that God has no form. He's beyond words. And we look at each other, because we would sit in the mountains. We were living in the mountains above Boulder, so we were sitting in the mountains, speculating at the speed of mind. And we come to the conclusion, it's beyond words. And we look at each other frustrated. And why did you say that? And we come to the conclusion, there's nothing to be said. And we look at each other, then why did you say that? But Prabhu says, it's not that Krishna is beyond words. There's just no, we can talk about Krishna forever. We can use millions of words to describe Krishna. And I was so amazed when Bhavananda was preaching to me that it felt like, we had come to this conclusion, God's beyond, and we brought this rough stone, Bhavananda just went ping, ping, ping like that. There was this diamond inside, this wonderful philosophy. Because I told Bhavananda, isn't all talking nonsense? He said, yes, unless you're chanting Hare Krishna or talking about Krishna. And I said, wow, because I knew I wasn't going to stop talking. Even before I was a devotee, people told me, you don't tell movies, you tell stories, you tell movies. So Brahma very clearly, he says, Vigraha, Krishna has a form. But it's not like this form, Satchidananda, it's eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadir. It's the beginning, Anadir, without any beginning. Now we can't imagine anything like that, because everything we see has a beginning and end. But Krishna, he has no beginning. How will we understand such a thing? Anadir, Adir, but he's the beginning of everything. Sometimes they challenge, who made God? But God is the beginning of everything. We just can't conceive of these things. God is the beginning of everything. He's without beginning, but he's the beginning of everything. Anadir, Adir, Govinda is another name is Govinda. Sarva Karana Karanam. And he's the supreme cause of all causes. So Krishna displayed this human-like form, but it says here, Maya Balam. Balam, strength. So by the strength of his internal potency, Yoga Maya, he was manifest to everyone. Although we generally can't see spiritual things, so Krishna's form is impossible to see. By the potency of Krishna's Yoga Maya, he made his form visible to everyone. So everyone was able to see Krishna. Not everybody recognized him, but everyone, by the potency of his Yoga Maya potency, he displayed his wonderful pastime just to attract us back to the spiritual world. And his pastimes were so attractive, even the Lord of Vaikuntha was attracted by them. And the opulence of Vrindavan, Sanatana Goswami says, even in Vaikuntha, Lord is wearing slippers. But we see in Braj, Krishna was walking barefoot all over the dust of Braj. So this dust is very special. In fact, one time, Gopastami, what happened was, shortly after Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, all his friends were teasing him. His little boys, they like to tease too much. So they say, oh, you're a big man, you lifted up the hill, but you're only taking out the calves, you're not taking out the cows. Because before Krishna was Vatsapala. You're taking out the calves. So that's near the village. But Gopal, to take out the cows, that means to go out far in the forest. So, Krishna was so upset because all the cowboys were teasing him. So one morning he wouldn't get up, And Mother Yasoda said, what's the matter, Lala? He just shook his head. He says, you have a stomach ache, Lala? You have a stomach ache in your tooth, Lala? You have a stomach ache in your head, Lala? Anyway, the mothers, they're very expert somehow or other to get things out of the children. So finally she found out. So then they consulted Sandili Rishi, said that today's Gopasmi is a good day to give him charge of the cows. So Mother Yasoda made some function, because in Vedic life, whenever there's some change in the life, just like everything begins from the Vivaha Jagya, the marriage ceremony. Now, I only know a little bit of Sanskrit, but I've always wondered, somehow there seems to be a connection between two Sanskrit words, Vivaha and Vivad. Vivad means arguments. We see that after Vivaha comes Vivad. I don't know the Sanskrit to know if there's a connection. Then we do Griha Pravesh, because now we're married, we have to have a house, Griha Pravesh, and Garbhadan Sanskar, and then the child is born in the Jatakarna Sanskar, cutting the umbilical cord, Vidya Brahma starting school, and birthday. Of course, now in India, everybody and all over the world, the Indians are forgetting their old culture, It's time for, you ask your grandfather, it was Indian, you can ask your grandfather what his mother used to do when there was birthday. And she would call the Panditji, he would do some jagya, he would chant, Gita Pat or Bhagavad Pat, and they have some Nam Sankirtan. He would do things like this. And now all over the world, and even in India, we see the birthday comes and happy birthday to you. But now Prabhupada has spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, so everywhere we go, we see the people are inviting the devotees that it's our child's birthday, please come and do kirtan and give some harikatha and distribute some nice prasadam. I can remember the first time we, because when I was young, we hardly saw any Indians. Now they're everywhere, but in America, everywhere. So somehow we got invited to an Indian's house, and we'd never eaten in an Indian's house before, And our eyes just popped out of our head when we saw all the preparations that they made. And the people were amazed because as young brahmacharis, we could just stuff them prasad. I watched the Indians, they were shocked at how much our devotees could eat. We'd never tasted prasadam like that. So there's always, kirtan, and harikatha, some prasad distribution. So now everybody's changing back. So this is all the unlimited mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So here, he's saying that Krishna disappearing in Dwarka, this means he disappeared from our eyes. He gives the example of the sun. Just like for the last few days, we've been so fortunate to see the sun. Right? Before we came, we weren't able to see. And we're able to watch it go across the sky, you know. And then in the evening it disappears. But it's not that the sun is gone, it's just that our limited vision is no longer able to see the sun. So Krishna's disappearance in Dwarka doesn't mean that Krishna ended. Now he's doing his pastimes. Prabhupada said there's Prakat Lila, which when Krishna by his Yogamaya Ponti makes it visible to everyone, and Aprakat Lila is still going on, even in Vrindavan, if you have the eyes. And Prabhupada told us how to have those eyes. This is also from Brahma Samhita. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Premanjana. Prabhupada said when the eyes are anointed with this prem, then Yam Shama Sundar Machintya Guna Swarupam. Krishna, the Mayavadis say that Krishna has no qualities, but we say he has achintya, transcendental qualities. So, if our eyes are anointed, prem anjana, anjana means ointment. Just like there's one village in Braj, Anjana. It's called now it's called Anjanok, but it's known as Anjana, and it's the village of which Saki? Induleka. And there's an Anjana Shila in that temple, a small little temple there, and there's Anjana Shila. That somehow if you rub it a little bit with water, then this black ointment comes off. I remember I took one of my godbrothers there with his Ukrainian wife, and she smeared her hand on it, it came black. She said, oh, no, I'm not going to wash this hand for a year. Because what happened was Krishna was in that village, which is, you can see Barsana from there. So he was playing on his flute. And Radharani was doing her makeup, but she heard Krishna's flute. She just left everything and ran there. When Krishna saw her with her unfinished makeup, he began to laugh. And then he took a stone, and he rubbed that stone, and he began to do the makeup of Srimati Radharani. So that stone is still there. You can still rub it and get this Anjana. So Anjana means ointment. So with the eyes that are anointed with love, I can remember sitting in LA, Prabhu was talking about this, and he said, people ask, can you see God? Yes, you can see God, but that requires some qualification. What is that qualification? It doesn't require that you become rich or beautiful or famous, nothing like that. Only one qualification to see God. Then he quoted this verse, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Bhakti. If you have love, praying, then you can see God. So Krishna's, those whose eyes are anointed with love, they can even see Krishna's pastime still going on. So we're just praying someday, somehow or other. Actually, it's hopeless. But our only hope is Prabhupada. Just like I remember when I used to go to the Mayapur festival in the old days, when there was just only the Lotus building was there, not even the long building was there. And even the Lotus building wasn't finished. We were just living in the cement dust on the roof in tents. It was so austere those days. And no generator. But somehow, life members used to come during the festival, and they were curious about the foreign devotees. And so they'd always ask you, and what is your qualification? And I guess this is a British way of asking what type of degree do you have, you know. The Americans say, what type of degree have you got, you know. But I guess in British English they say, and what is your qualification? I say, well, qualification? I don't have any qualification, my only qualification is through the Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, you just hang on to my dhoti and I will take you back to home, back to God. So how will we understand all of these things? In fact, it seems impossible. And actually Krishna says, nobody can know me as I am. So why are we wasting our time chanting around and falling for rigs and going to retreats? And we're just wasting our time. It's impossible for us to understand God. But God is unlimited, Anant. He's unlimited. So for the finite to understand the infinite, that's impossible. But if the infinite wants to reveal himself to the finite, who can stop him? If the infinite decides he's unlimited, if he wants to reveal himself to the finite, who can stop him? So where does that infinite reveal himself? Tesam satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Priti purvakam means with love. Those who worship me with love, dadami. In Sanskrit, this is first person. I give. Krishna gives. Dadami buddha yogam tam. I give the intelligence. So we're not wasting our time. We're just praying one day Krishna will give us that intelligence. If we, with affection, priti purvakam, with affection, if we worship Krishna with affection, Krishna will reveal himself to us. So it's impossible to understand Krishna, but Krishna can reveal himself. So we're just engaged in this devotional service. Service with love, Prabhupada says. So I was seeing this beautiful Dayalitai Gora Hari with their hands raised in the air. And every time I see them, I remember the first verse of Chaitanya Bhagavat. We all know Chaitanya Charitamrita because that's more complete biography of Lord Chaitanya. But there's another by Vrindavan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And when I see these deities, I remember the first verse. Ajana lambito Ajala lamita vujo kanaka vadato sankirtanaya kapitaro kamalaya taksho Vishvambaro dvijabaro jugadharma palo Bande jagatta priyakaro karuna avataro. He says, Ajana lambita bhujo. Just like our friend Julian, I was calling it Lambiwala. Lambi means long, tall. And Janu means the knee. Just like Ganga came from the knee of Janu Maharaj, so she became known as Janavi. So his arms are their arms. Actually, this verse in Sanskrit, there's not only plural and singular, but there's dual. We just have plural and we just have singular and plural. This is a book, and then there's somewhere there's so many books. Anyway, in my room there's so many books. You just put an S, it becomes plural. But in Sanskrit we have dual. So he says Ajana lambita bhujo. Now we could take it that there's two arms. Bhujo means arms. Ajana lambita bhujo. But from the context of the whole verse, we can understand he's talking about two persons. And their arms are very long. They stretch all the way up to the knees. Ajana Lampita Bhujo. And this is considered to be a very auspicious symptom. Ajana Lampita Bhujo. Kanaka Avadato. Avadato means luster. Their luster like kanak. Kanak means gold. Just like if you go to Ayodhya, there's one Kanak Bhavan. You've been to Ayodhya? Anybody been to Ayodhya? There's one place called Kanak Bhavan. And there you'll see very rare deity of Sita and Ram sitting. Because he's reigning in Ayodhya, so he's sitting. Very beautiful deity, Kanak Bhavan. You see Sita and Ram sitting. So Kanak, they both have luster, golden luster. Kanaka Badato. Sankirtanayaka Pitaro. We know Pita, but this is Pitaro. They're the fathers of this Sankirtan movement. Sankirtanayaka Pitaro. Both of them are the fathers of the Sankirtan movement. This Visvambaro, not Visvambar, but Visvambaro, both of them are the maintainers of this universe. We know Krishna is the maintainer of everything. And Balaram in his form as Anantashesh, he's maintaining all the universes on his hoods. So both of them are Vishvambara, Vishvambaro, Dvijabaro. Dvija means second birth. You can figure Dvi, you can understand Dvija. Dvija, just like we celebrate Jamastami. Dvija, second birth. First birth, everybody has. Bees, hogs, dogs, cats, everyone, human beings, elephants, everybody has first birth from mother and father. But Dvija, the second birth, that's the most important. And Dvija means Brahman. The second birth means we take it from the spiritual master. So we should know about Brahman, or the Supreme, that's Krishna. So we know Lord Chaitanya's father, what was his name? Jagannath Mishra. Mishra means Brahman. If you go to Bengal, you meet so many people named Mishra, even especially in Orissa. And there's a village in Orissa, they claim that's where that Lord Chaitanya's parents are descended from, those Mishras in Orissa. That's another thing. Mishra means Brahman. And Lord Nityananda, his father's name was Arai Pandit. Just like if you go, just like us foreign devotees, in India, Panditji. They see us, the Sikha, neckpiece, and devotees, Panditji. So Panditji means Brahman. So both of them are sons of Brahman, Dvija Baro. And they're the best of the Dvijas. Not Dvija Bar, but Dvija Baro. Both of them are the best of the Brahmins. Ajana Lambita Bhujo, Kanaka Vedato, Sankirtanaya Pitaro, Pitaro, Kamalaya Taksho. Kamalaya, Kamal, you may know by now, Kamal means lotus. Aksha means the eyes, Kamalaya Taksho. Oh, both of them have lotus petal eyes. Just see these beautiful eyes just emanating Krishna praying. Kamalaya Taksho, Visvambaro Dvijabaro Dvijabaro. Yuga Dharma Palo. Before these two brothers, they were Gopals. Palna means to nourish, to protect, to raise, to take care of. Palna. So before they were Gopals, they were taking care of cows, they were protecting the cows, they were nourishing the cows, they were Gopals. But in this incarnation, they've become Yuga Dharma Pals. They're Yuga Dharma Pals. They've come to nourish, protect, to propagate this Yuga Dharma of Harinam Sankirtan. So they gave up being Gopals, now they become Yuga Dharma Pals. Yugadharma Palo, both of them. What is that? Yugadharma Palo? Bande Jagata Priyakaro. Just like we know, Prabhupada ended all his letters. What was that? Your ever well-wisher. So in Hindi we say Priya Karnivana. Priya Karo, both of them are the well-wishers of the human beings. Because this age of Kali, nobody's interested in spiritual life. Only because of this little disturbance in their material enjoyment, this pandemic. Some people started to ask questions, what's it all about? Become more interested in spiritual life. But otherwise, everybody's, like Maharaj said, we were going to show these devotees what is Ananda. They should come to our parties. But Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they have given a process that's so wonderful. Even if you don't want to advance in spiritual life, you're advancing. Every day we're going somewhere around the world on Harinam, Sankirtan, and benedicting everyone with the holy name of Krishna. Even they don't want spiritual life, they're getting it. Because I remember I had a wonderful godbrother named Vishnu Jahan Maharaj. He had a big bus with deities in the back. And they were tied down, so they were called Radha Damodar. Because we're going down the highway 60 miles an hour. So they were tied around the waist, so they were Radha Damodar. And he said this bus is like a big fish swimming around this material world. And then they would come to some city, and then from the belly of the fish would unfold a festival. Because always underneath the bus, that's where all the luggage is kept, right? So the stage would come out, all the instruments would come out, the prasad table would come, everything from the belly of this fish, a festival unfolds. So they would go from city to city and do like this. And I remember I was there in one city, I can't even remember what city it was, but he was there doing his festival. And one businessman, he came up to me, he said, every day, you guys are here chanting Hare Krishna, every day. And I go home at night, and all I hear is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I was envious. I wish when I went to bed at night, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So I try to sleep, and all I hear is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So they're so well-wishers that even people don't want spiritual life, they're giving it to them. But Mande Jagata Priya Karuna Avatar, their mercy incarnation. Compassion. Karuna actually means compassion. Both of them. Karuna Avatar, not Avatar, Avataro. They're the avatars of compassion. We see that they're especially Lord Nityananda, even Jagai and Madai, they couldn't, and Lord Chaitanya was ready to kill them. And Lord Nityananda said, wait a minute, you're known as Patita Pavan. You come to save, purify the most fallen. In Sanskrit, Patit means fallen. Tit. No, Pavana means to purify. Patita Pavan, you're the purifier, you're meant to save the lowest down. And in Kali Yuga, everybody's like this Jagat. Yes, they were born in Brahma family. They had some background. We don't have anything. You have to kill everybody. You imagine going out for the marathon. Take a Bhagavad Gita. Nope. So they're both the most compassionate. And speaking about Pavan, there's one place in Nandagam called Pavan Sarovar. Very big lake, one of the most beautiful lakes, along with Kusum Sarovar, there's Pavan Sarovar, Govinda Kund. These are all very, very beautiful. What is that one in Kamyavan? Bimal Kund. Bimal Kund. These are all very, very beautiful lakes. The Pavan Sarovar is there. And originally, Nanda Baba, he excavated this lake for the pleasure of all the Brishbasis. So it became known as Nanda Sarovar. How it became Pavan Sarovar is a very interesting history. One time, Nanda Lala, he saw that Mother Yasoda was cooking all kinds of funny prasad. Not the regular rice dal chapati and such, but she was making all fried things, puris and samosas and little cracker-like things we call machari, all these little fried things. So Lala went there, he said, Are Maya, what kind of funny bhojan are you making today? What kind of funny bhojan are you making today? Is Lala, your father's going on pilgrimage. So all these things are fried in ghee, they will last for a long time, and he will eat them along the way. Because still today, there's many people in India who won't eat things cooked outside the house. It's becoming less, because if you've ever been on the train, everybody's shouting, Kela kela banana, apple apple, sandre, orange, time pass keli, pina, time pass. Garam, singara, we call samosas, they call singara. Garam, singara, jai. But you'll see many families, they bring their little tiffins and they have all these little, puris and fried things that they eat along the way. So Baba will eat these along the way. Harimaya, and where's Baba going? Where's he going? Baba, he's going to Prayag. And where is that, Maya? And where is that? Are Lala, I'm busy cooking. You ask too many questions. Because the little boys, they ask too many questions, is it? All the mothers are laughing, they know. You go ask your Baba, I'm busy cooking. So he went to Nanda Baba. Baba, where are you going, Baba? Baba, where are you going? Where are you going? Says Lala, I'm going to Prayag. Acha Baba, where is that, Baba? Where is that? He said, Lala, that is a very sacred place where Ganga, Jamuna, and Saraswati join in Sangam. When two or more rivers join together, then we call it Sangam. Just like somebody's come here from Bengal, a couple of us from America, somebody's from London, somebody's from, many of you, most of you from New Zealand, some from Fiji, and and ancestors go back to India, and we've all joined in Bhakta Sangam. So Nanda Lala said, but Baba, today is a very inauspicious day. You should not go today. Very inauspicious day for travel. You should go tomorrow. Tomorrow's Akshay Tritiya. We see in, of course for us it's the hot season's beginning, but there's one Tithi comes on our Vaishnava calendar, Akshay Tritiya, beginning of Chandan Yatra. So Akshay, Akshay means diminish. So Akshay means that which always increases, never diminishes, always increases. So anything done on that day, its result is Akshay, ever increasing. Just like people do Griha Pravesh, first entrance into the new house, an Akshay Tritiya, because they want to think, oh, the happiness will be forever in this house. And so many things, especially, we were talking about Vivaha. If you want to come to Nandagaon to see the festival, you will have to rent your taxi well in advance. Because all the taxis will be booked for weddings. Because it's such an auspicious day that even without consulting the astrologer, you can do your wedding. Even without consulting, it's such an auspicious day. Because everybody wants that should be happily ever after Akshay. So, and he told them that it's also a very auspicious day to start your journey. It was like one time, I was on a 1-year visa in India, and somehow or other, I kept extending and extending and extending. And finally said, look, Baba, how long can we extend this 1-year visa? You go outside, get a new one, and come back. So I left. It just happened to be Akshay Tritiya Day. I left, I hitchhiked around the world, and came back with a 5-year visa. So, very auspicious day to start your journey. Okay, Lala, since you're telling, I will go tomorrow. So next morning, Nanda Baba got up to take his bath before Mangalarti, just like all of us. And he went down to Nanda Sarovar to take his bath. And he saw one great big personality bathing in the Kund, and then rolling in the dust and laughing. Ah, ha, ha, oh, 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 ah, ha, ha. Then bathing in the Sarovar, then rolling in the dust and laughing. Ah, ha, ha. And Nanda Maharaj never saw such a personality in his Nandayana. And he went there and said, Maharaj, who are you? Baba, I'm Prayag. And then Maharaj said, Prag? There's no Prag who lives around here. Array Lala, not from here. I'm Prayag Raj, king of all the tears, where Ganga, Jamuna, and Saraswati join in Sangha. Acha? Is it? And why have you come here? Arey Baba, all year long, everybody coming and putting their pop on me. We already told you pop means sin, huh? Everybody putting their popping. One day, in this Akshay Tritiya day, I come here in this rover, and I bathe in this rover, I roll in this dust, and I become pavana, purified. Acha? Is it? Then Nanda Baba looked, and on the other side of the Kund, there was all these beautiful ladies. Not like Nandagam ladies. Nandagam ladies were also beautiful, but this was different beauty. Just like we see the New Zealand ladies have a certain beauty, and the Fiji ladies, they have a different beauty. And if you go to India, the South Indians, they always wear flowers around their braid like this. And the Chinese ladies, they have nice eyes like this, and different beauty. And they have beautiful saris. Not like Nandagam saris. Nandagam saris also beautiful. But this was very special, with silver threads going like this and golden threads going like this. And Nanda Maharaj went there and he said, ladies, who are you? And somebody said, I'm Ganga, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri. All the sacred rivers were there taking bath. Acha? And ladies, why have you come here? And hey, Baba, all year long, everybody putting their pop on us. What day of this Akshay Tritiya day, we come here and take bath and become pavana. Purified. Acha? Is it? Then Baba took his bath and he went back upstairs to Nandagam. By that time, Lala woke up. And he came, Baba, Baba, now you're going, Baba, now you're going, now you're going, Baba. Arey Lala, now you're not going. Baba, why is that? Lala, all the places I wanted to go, they came here to take bath. Why I should go there to take bath? Why I should take trouble to go there and take bath? They all came here to take bath. So, from that day, this Sarovar became known as, because when the Kund is too big, then we call it Sarovar Lake. So, it became known as Pavan Sarovar. And anyone who takes bath in this Pavan Sarovar, he becomes Pavana. And even Prayagraj, just like every 12 years, a big Kumbh Mela in Prayag. And we make a big camp, and we have so many displays and dioramas, and Ram shooting an arrow, and the arrow to Rama, and so many wonderful dioramas we have, Jula Yatra, and so many things. So why are we doing all this? We don't have to go to Kumbh Mela. Even Prayagraj comes and takes bath in our Pavan Sarovar. We don't have to go to we don't go to Kumbh Mela to take bath. We go to Kumbh Mela to bathe everyone in the nectar of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is why we go there, because we don't have to go. Even Prayagraj comes there. So now we're in Nandagam. It describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Mahaprabhu was doing Prikrama of Braj, and he came to Nandishwar Parvat, because this hill is actually incarnation of Lord Shiva. Because one time Lord Shiva, he was performing all these heavy penances and austerities, severe penances and austerities. And finally Krishna appeared before him and said, what do you want? He said, I know that end of Dwapar Yuga, you're going to display your pastimes here in Braj. So I was thinking that if I become a stone, then he thought maybe that's too much of it, just some dust, I could see your pastimes. And Krishna said, why stone or dust? You become a hill. My Baba will build his palace on top of your hill. So this hill at Nandagam is incarnation of Lord Shiva. We call Nandishwar Parvat. And in fact, there's one book called Brajriti Chintamani, which is written by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. You all know him, right? He wrote what song we sing every morning? Everybody says Sansara prayers, right? Sansara means this blazing fire of material existence. Do we want to pray to this Sansara? This is not Sansara, this is Gur Vastika. 8 prayers to the Guru to save us from Sansara. Not Sansara prayers. So, he wrote this book, Brajriti Chintamani, where he describes all of Braj Prikrama. And when he gets to Nandagam, he says, Tata Chirubutam Aparashobham Nandi Sram Sadhugana Vadanti Nandi Sram Yamtadiri Rupam Sri Nanda Rajadaya Rajamanam. So he's been describing Vrindavan, so he says, that Vrindavan, Tatat Chirubutam. Chirubutam means a crown jewel, apara shobham, of an illimitedly expanding splendor. So this Nandishwar Parvat, Nandishwar Sadhugana Vadanti, that is the crown of Braj. Previously, when he was a Govardhan, he said Nava Nava Tilakam. Govardhan is the Tilak of Braj. And Nandagam is the crown of Braj. And Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says, not that he's telling this, Sadhugana Vadanti, all the sadhus, Vadanti, they're telling. Sadhugana Vadanti, all the sadhus are telling this is the crown of Braj. It is the self-same form of Nandishwar Mahadev. Sri Nanda Rajalaya Rajamanam. If you go to India for some time, then you hear the word Karyalaya. Karya work, and alai means place. So office, Karyalaya means office. But here, Vishwanath Chakrabarti says Rajalaya, the place of the king, means palace. Sri Nanda Rajalaya Rajamanam. Nanda Maharaj's palace, Wahan Virajmani. Nanda Maharaj's palace is resting, Virajman, is resting on top of this hill. And he has a Nandiswara Astak also, which describes so nicely, if you see from down below the hill, he says, Yatra Vrajadi Pepura Pratima Prakasa Prasadamurda Kalaso Parinitarangi Parikshate Bhuvijaya Dvajake Tubuto Nandiswaram Samaramandam Udam Dadatu. Says Yatra, in that place, Vrajadipe, the king of Braj, Pura, we know like Mayapur, the city of the king of Braj, Apratima, unparalleled city, uncomparable city, Apratima, Prakasha. We told the other day, Prakash means to shine. In that place, the unparalleled city of Nanda Baba is shining. And several years ago, somebody put white marble all over all the temple, and now it shines in all directions. Yatra Vrajadi Vipura Apratima Prakasha Prasadamurda Kalaso Parinitarangi. On top of the palace there's a dome. On top of the dome there's Kalash and Nityarangi. Something is always dancing there. Nityarangi. What is it? Yatra Vrajadi Vipura Pratima Prakasha Prasadamurda Kalaso Parinitarangi Parhikshate Bhuvijaya Dvajake Tubuto. He says Barhi, just like we have another form of that word we sing every day. Barhavatam Samyat Asitam Buddha Sundarangam. So Barhi means peacock. Ikshate means to see. Peacock is seen dancing on top of the Kalash. And Jayadvajake Tubuto. Adbhut. Means wonderful. And Jayadvaj, you know Jayadvaj? Just like one time the president of Bombay Temple was Jayadvaj. Now he lives in Miami, my dear godbrother Jayadvaj from Argentina. Where's our, oh, there's Argentina. Jayadvaj. So you all know Jaya Pataka, right? So Pataka also means flag. Dvaj means flag. Jayadvaj. Victory flag. This victory flag is dancing. When you see Nandagram Parvat, you see on top this beautiful yellow flag is dancing there. Jayadvaja Ketubuta, beautiful, wonderful victory flag is dancing there on top of the Kalash. Nandi Saram Sabaravandam Udam Dadatu. Now Chakravarti Bhai gives his blessing. May that Nandiswara Parvat give you unlimited amounts of happiness. So we were discussing last couple of days, we're all searching for happiness, but if you want happiness, we're praying that this Nandiswara Parva, where Nandalala lives, will give us unlimited amounts of happiness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to Nandiswara Parva. And he asked one villager, are there any deities here? And the villagers, yeah, on top of this hill there's a cave. Inside that cave there's a very big man. There's a little dainty lady. And in between Tribangala Lit there's a little gwal cowherd boy. So Mahaprabhu, he climbed the hill. He went inside that cave. He saw big Nanda Baba with a big yellow pagri turban on top of his head. And with a sari pulled over her head there was a little Nanda Mother Yasoda. And in between this Tribangala Gwal, this cowherd boy, he began to caress that body of Gopal. Maybe you've seen the picture in painting in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because I posed for that picture. I was president in Portland. I came down to LA one time because Prabhu was there. And I was walking down the street minding my business, and Jadharani grabbed me and said, "Hey, you, come here. We need you to pose," because we heard about the marathon the other day. They were doing this marathon, so they needed, instead of painting just from scratch, they wanted some paintings. So I posed for that one. The Buddhist who brought the untouchable things, with the plate getting hit in his head. That's me. The old man, standing behind, that's me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling Gadadhar Pandit that you can't leave Purushottam Kshetra, and he's telling him to go like that, that's me, and Gadadhar Pandit's fainting. Generally wasn't so, I had to faint many times. So that was my tiny little part in the great Chaitanya Charitamrita Marathon we heard about yesterday. So now when we go there's a beautiful temple on top of the hill. And not only Krishna, but both Krishna and Balaram are there. You go up there, you'll see big, tall Nanda Baba with a big yellow turban on his head, a little dainty Madhya Soda, and in between these two little cowherd boys. And you'll see that they're both blackish. They both have the same kurta, they have the same dhoti, they have the same crown, they have the same flute, they have the same jewelry, same ankle bells, same armbands, everything is same to same. In fact, you can't tell who's Krishna or who's Balaram. But if you ask, the Brishbasis will tell you that Kanhaiya, he has too much love for Mother Yasoda, so he's on Yasoda's side. And Baldao, he has too much love for Nanda Baba, so he's on Baba's side. Otherwise, they're both same to same. And if you ask why, they'll tell you many stories. First is that Krishna and Balaram, they're almost like twins. Krishna was born on the or rather Balaram was born on the Shravan Purnima. Then 8 days later, on the Bhadrapad Astami, Balaram was Krishnastami day, and then Bhadrapad Astami, Krishnastami, Krishna was born. So they're almost like twins. So I bet even here in New Zealand, if people have twins, they dress them alike, is it? Even in Argentina, I saw. Other reason is that Baldao, he feels that I'm the older brother, my duty to protect my younger brother. Do you have a brother? Does he protect you or fight with you? Anyway, Baldao feels it's my duty to protect my younger brother. So he gets chandan and sandalwood and he burns it, and with the black he smears it all over his limbs. And then he wears same dhoti, same kurta, same jewelry, same crown, same flute, everything same to same, and the Rakshasas can't tell who's Krishna and who's Baldao. Other reason is that Mother Yasoda and Mother Rohini, they're very, very clever. Those who are already mothers, they'll recognize the cleverness of Mother Yasoda. Those who are going to be mothers someday, you can learn something from Mother Yasoda and Rohini. And those who are not married yet, I give you blessing that you'll get wife just as clever as Mother Yasoda. They know that if they dress them differently, then they'll just fight. No, I want Kanhaiya's crown. No, I want his flip. No, I want his kurta. No, I want his dhoti. No, I want his ankle. No, I want his necklace. They'll just fight one another. So Mother Yasoda and Mother Rohini, very clever. They dress him exactly the same and they don't fight. Nearby, Dandagam Hill, if you know the way down, and then there's a little lane, you'll come to a beautiful deity of Nisringadev. One of the most cutest Nisringadevs you'll ever see. Anybody ever seen Nisringadev in Nandagram? Somebody's there, somebody, all right. But this is Nanda Baba's Nisringadev, he worship for the protection of his Lala. And very, very beautiful, sweet face on this Nisringadev. Not at all ferocious. And there's one Braha deity also there, and there's a broken deity, but so they have it outside the altar, but Vishnu lying on the Ananta Shesh. A very nice devotee is staying there. Bhakti Priya. And this little temple of Srinivas is there. And then you continue on out and you come to Yasoda Kund. And Yasoda Kund is a very special place where Mother Yasoda goes to do her puja and pot and reading and washes her clothes and so many things she does there. And just near Yasoda Kund, now the temple was small little broken down temple, but somebody from Noida has made huge colorful temple and beautiful altar and Sringasana and everything. And the government is, well, they say they fixed up the kund, but they make this huge kund and everything around it, they chopped down all the trees. But anyway, they say they beautified the place, but anyway. Nearby is a place called Hao Bilao. Because Mother Yasoda, she would be busy doing her things, and she would tell Krishna, the dur kelan majao, lalvan hawaii. Dur means far. So don't go, kale means sports, don't go playing far in the forest. Dur kelan majao, lal, my lala, hawaii, van hawaii. This how has come in the forest, he'll get you. And Lala said, what is this how? I never seen it anyhow. And Mother Yasoda says, he's big and black and furry. And he has great big eyes and a long black nose and very sharp claws and big mouth. And he'll come here and eat you up. And so Lala, he became frightened. So he played close by. But we know that little boys have such long memories. He began to again go far in the forest. Dur kelan majao, lalban hawaii. The how is going to get you, Lala. What is this how? I never seen any how. And Mother Yasoda yet again described the how and said he'll come here and eat you up. So he played close by. Then again he has such a long memory. He again went far in the forest. Mother Yasoda said, dur kelan majao, lalban hawaii. What is this how? I never seen it anyhow. And Mother Yasoda says he's big and black and furry. And he has great big yellow eyes to see with. And a long black nose to smell you with. And he has very pointy ears to hear you with. And curved claws to catch you with. And his mouth has so many sharp teeth and it's so big, he'll eat you up in one bite. Hare Maya, you're just telling stories. I never seen it anyhow. Jamuna tatpe denu charai, tene degoha. I went all over the Jamuna, the bank of the Jamuna with my denu, with my cows. Tene degoha, I didn't see anyhow. Bein patal kaliyadame mahabina degoha. I jumped in that Kaliya lake. I went all the way to Patala Loka. I never saw any how. You're just telling stories to make me afraid, Maya. There's no such thing as how. Then all of a sudden, Mother Yasoda's eyes got very big, and she said, don't look now, but here comes one. And Mother Yasoda began to run, and Lala began to run behind her, and Balram began to run behind her, and Sridham began to run, and Sudam began to run, and Stoka Krishna began to run, and Vasukama began to run, and all the coward boys are running behind Mother Yasoda. And they got back to Nandagam. Just happened to be lunchtime. See how clever Mother Yasoda is. And Krishna Balaram, they sat with Nanda Baba, and between bites and between breaths, they told how we just missed this much by getting eaten by a owl. So this place is called Hao Bilao. And there's so many houses there. Because all the nice ones got somehow got stolen. There's still some broken ones there. And I asked one little Brijvasi boy, you ever seen a house? Oh, Safali Bote. It said before there was so many. And then there's another enchanting place that hardly anybody ever goes. As you go towards Barsana, there's a little dirt road, especially in rainy season, no way you can go. You go down that dirt road, you come to Purnamasi Gufa, Purnamasi's cave. And we were just talking about Yogamaya. She's Yogamaya in Raj. So it's a very beautiful place, lots of trees. And we came to Vrindavan expecting to see forest, and always see big tall buildings. And beep, 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 beep. And these motorcycles are horrendous. He said, what is this? I expect to see forest, you know. But there's still a few places left where there's nice forest. Yasodakund is one of those places. Purnamasi cave, Ufami's cave. So she stays there in that place. And then, just as you start to leave Nandagam on the way to Varsana, off to the left you'll see a little road. And you go down that little road and you come to Lalitakund. And this is very enchanting. This is still a nice place. Lots of nice trees and kadamba trees and tamal trees. Very nice place. And you'll see there these two big pillars and a rod in between them. This is for doing Julanyasha. In Hindi we call Hindol. So there's a Hindol there. So this is a place everyone used to, gopis used to wait there with Krishna for when Radharani would come from Varsana. So one time, Krishna was telling Radharani that this Narad Muni is a very clever fellow, and you be very careful with him. He's such a fellow. He goes to one side, he tells one thing. He goes to the other side, he tells another thing. And he starts a big fight between them. So be very careful of this fellow. Don't ever listen to him, or our relationship will be finished. And Radharani said, what can come between us, Shamsundar? What can come between? And Krishna shrugged his shoulders and said, well, I'm not going to tell you later, I told you so. So one time, all the Sakhis and Radharani, they were waiting there at Lalitakund. And again, legend has it, I'm not telling, but legend has it, that the ladies are always late. So Radharani was doing her makeup, she was late. Oh, something I forgot one piece before that. One time, Narad Muni came and he was praising Krishna like anything, chanting these beautiful prayers. Because we know he's always playing on his veena and chanting, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman. And Krishna said, Narad, whatever, you sing so beautifully, whatever meditation you like, you take. No, bus, Lord, I'm just happy to be engaged in your service. No, Narad, there must be something. Well, there was one tiny little desire. That this place, Lalitakund, is so beautiful. And there's a nice swing here. I would just love to see you and Lalita swinging on this swing. Just this little tiny desire. So Krishna said, Tatastu. So then they were all waiting there for one day for Radharani to come. And then Narad Muni, Krishna saw Narad Muni in the sky and he remembered this benediction. So he told Lalita Saki, you please sit on the swing with me. And Lalita Saki, even in dreams, she doesn't want to enjoy directly with Krishna. She only wants to make arrangements for Radha to meet Krishna. This is our philosophy. We want Radha to meet with Krishna. It's like you go to Vrindavan and you hear all the ordinary people chanting, Radhe Radhe Sham Milade. Radhe Radhe, meet us with Sham. But this is sense gratification. We want to make arrangements for Radharani to meet with Krishna. So she said, no. You see, even in dreams she doesn't want to enjoy directly. Now Krishna said, come on, he sat down, he said, come on. And then he got all the gopis going, come on, put her down next to me, And all the gopis got into it, so they put Lalita right next to Krishna. And they began to swing. And Krishna was enjoying like anything. And Narad Muni got his darshan. He was very happy. And he flew off toward Barsana. Lalita Krishna, Lalita Krishna, Lalita Krishna, Lalita Krishna. And all of a sudden, he passed by the room where Radharani was doing her makeup. He said, Munivar, why are you singing, every day you're singing my name and Thakurji's name? And today, why are you taking Thakurji's name and Lalita's name? Oh, you think Lalita Saki is your best friend, maybe in front of you, but you don't know what's going on behind your back. You should go to Lalita Kund now and see what's happening. So Radharani ran there to Lalita Kund, and she saw Lalita and Krishna in the swing, and she got shocked, and she did angry mudra. Angry mudra means hands on the hips and shoulders tapping. And Lalita Saki said, now what to do? Because we know Lalita Saki, she's a little bit older than Krishna, so she's always, then Radharani and Krishna, so she's always giving orders to Radharani that don't run so fast, you just aim, don't be so easy with him, she's always instructing her. And she's the one, when Radharani is angry, then she makes her up with Krishna, says, now he's being too fresh, you go away from him. But now she herself is in trouble. Who's going to save the situation now? And she, oh no, now what? And Krishna went there and he began to massage the lotus feet of Radharani. Who is it? Sometimes, since COVID, my brain just goes blank. Anyway, there's a beautiful song by one of our great acharyas that Brahma, Mahesh, all the great acharyas, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, they're all meditating and worshipping on the lotus feet of Radharani. Of Krishna, But Krishna, he's massaging the lotus feet of Radharani. The same person, all demigods, all sages and sadhus are worshipping on her feet, his feet. He's worshipping on Radharani's feet. And she said, no, get away. We're finished. You've cheated me so many times. You're not only black on the outside, you're black through and through. I'm not going to have anything to do with you. And then Krishna slowly began to massage her feet very sweetly and describe to her how Narad Muni had asked for this benediction. And then Radharani became so shocked. And he said, he didn't tell her, I told you so. So like this, there's so many wonderful places in Nandagaon. So we have a few minutes. Anybody has any questions?